As you can see, I'll be working with chicken wings tonight. Welcome to another segment of Cooking with Emma. Today I am making stuffed chicken wings. So I already had started deboning my chicken. So basically what I'm doing, I'm deboning. There are 3 portions of the wing that has bones. So these 2 portions right here, I'll be deboning them so I can go ahead and do our stuffing. Remember, I'm not cutting the chicken wings open. I'm just gonna go in, this portion that's already open, and deboning from this section. So just watch me as we debone the chicken. So here is a very good tip on how we begin deboning the chicken. The first portion I take, I just gently remove the flesh from this upper bone and simply insert your finger. As you can see, there's a pocket here that you can insert your hands and just move it around. As you can see, I'm not breaking the flesh or the skin, and just move it gently around. And you see there's a hardened piece here that that's a very attached to the bone. So what I'm going to do now is insert my little paring knife to cut it off. You see? And gently I remove the flesh. Now I'm going to go ahead now and break the bone out. Now this portion of the wing now has 2 bones. So I'm going to continue inserting my finger. As you can see how you can see, if you can see how the rays. And basically what I'm doing is just removing the flesh from around it, and now try and start to expose the bone. You could do this. We're not breaking breaking it through. As you can hear the little pop, that's the smaller bone that I just removed from the socket. See, and the same thing like I did with the previous bone, I'm just gonna remove the joint portion of it. Again. And so I'm popping it open. This area, when you're cutting around, is very tough, but just be gentle and make sure that you don't break the skin. So this is the part that's a little tough right here. That's the joint portion. Now you see we start to expose the bones. So this is the first bone. So the first bone is out. Now for the second one. And you see, just basically, this is how it goes. You basically like turning the inside out of the chicken, the wing. So the same thing again, cut around. This is just the joint portion of it. So you can see this first portion is off. And now this is attached to the bone. We can just gonna separate it. And if you have the drumsticks, you can make the lollipops out of the drumsticks. But today we are just doing the stuffed chicken. See, and the bone is out. This is the harder portion that I cut off from the previous top. So there we go. Now we put it back the correct way. And this whole area will be stuffed. So we go on to our next one, and we're going to do this to the whole dozen of chicken wings that I have. Do stuffed chicken wings. And you can stuff it with other meats, cut up very small. You can stuff it with mashed potatoes. That I already have my mashed potatoes also prepared. See how easy that was? As you do them more, the more you do them, the more secure you become, and it's easy to do the separation. So we just have to get out this joint. So once separate each bone from each other. So the harder portion of it, that's what I'm just trying to cut off. See how the bones are exposed already? And there we go. Now these bones, I'm not going to throw them away. I'm going to use a broth. I'm going to make a chicken broth out of the bones. So everything is useful. That's the same portion I cut off before. See, there we go. Now we're going to scale the meat down. We want to keep all our meat. And just pop the bone out of the socket. And there we go. So you see, it's not very difficult to do. Okay, so you can stuff it with mashed potatoes, you can stuff it with other meats, you can stuff it with vegetables. If you do a spaghetti zucchini, stuff it with zucchini. And then we're gonna fry them. So when I do fry this, I am gonna fry it in a sesame oil. There we go. Sometimes the bone gets very difficult to come out. So we just cut off the seed. Yes, so it's the same. We're gonna fry it with sesame seed oil, and we're gonna add a little soy sauce to the oil. This one doesn't want to be removed. As you can see how the joint is. Alright, so now we can do the exposure of the smaller bones. Now you also have a paring knife that you could also use. So whichever knife works best for you, you can use. This is what you want to prevent from the bone from breaking, because now it becomes a little not quite difficult, but you got to make sure that you don't get stuck with that bone, the small bone that broke. So as you can see, we're coming down to the end of it. So we can graze the meat off. See? And then you can either pop it out the socket or cut it out. So if it does become difficult, like this one is, because of the smaller bone that's here that broke, you want to cut it off. So you want to make sure that you don't get stuck with the broken bone. So we're going to cut this one out. But remember, you don't want to cut the skin through the flesh. It's just the joint I'm cutting out. just looking for the grass to get my hands in. And just all I'm doing is just scaling back the flesh and the skin. Okay, so now I'm there. There we go, the smaller bone. And now I'm just cutting through the joint. So, and this is the bone that was broken. Now we turn it back. And there we are. And moving on to the next. See how easy that was? So let's continue. So we're still continuing. Just got a few more before we're completed with the boning our chicken wings. So what I'm gonna do is marinate these chicken wings on the outside for about 30 minutes while I prepare the other ingredients for the stuffing. Like I said, the mashed potato is already done for some of them, and the only thing I have to do now is dice, very small dice, with our shrimp. So some of them will be stuffed with shrimps and some will be stuffed with potatoes. It's very delicious. And now to secure it, we'll dip the ends in first, because the skin is fatty. So they're gonna secure in the bottom with with toothpicks. And the bottom, once it starts to curdle, the ending portion of it, then we're gonna go ahead and deep fry it. See? Done again. Another one completely successfully done. And then you could make a dipping sauce. I'll use a Polynesian sauce or a sweet and sour dip. You can use either one or eat it just like that, you know, as a side snack. But it's up to you what you want to do. Me, I like to eat it just like that. No interruptions. Okay, see, it just popped out. So some of them is attached by this joint here, very secure. So that is what we're trying to cut out. Because once that's in the way, you'll have difficulty separating the bone from the other joint. So we're gonna cut this joint out, see? As the joint is secured. Yeah, the socket joint. Now when I marinate my chicken, I marinate it with salt, black pepper, and Worcestershire sauce, and just let it sit. Now you can make it a little spicy if you like, and you can add some pepper to it, but I'm feeding this to young kids, so I try not to use too much pepper. And me myself, I do not eat that much pepper. Well, almost none. Okay, so this one is almost out. It's like playing with your food. Okay, there we go. Out it goes. Some of them comes out very easily, while others, sometimes you have to fight with it to get it out of the socket or to get this little membrane off. See? Out. And there it goes. And then you wash it just like you wash any other meat, you wash it the same way. Here it goes. All right, so you can see I'm on my last one now. Okay, so now we're gonna just pop it. I hope it comes up. Yep, comes up easily. So now it's time to clean it. We got all our bones that we're gonna use to make our broth, our chicken broth. And I use the chicken broth to put for when I make my sauces and so forth. All right, so on to washing our chicken. So my chicken is washed, so let's put our bones to the side. And this bones, I'm going to do it for our broth. And we're going to do it with some scallions, carrots, and celery sticks that I'll be working with. So that'll be for another episode, but right now it's just taking care of our chicken wings, our stuffed chicken wings. Make sure all the water is properly drained out. And now we're just going to go ahead and marinate it. So I'm just doing my marination right now, and that's just simply some black pepper that I sprinkle over, Worcestershire sauce, and some little salt. And all I do is just toss it down with a little, make sure it's properly mixed in so you can get that little flavor in, so it won't be bland when it's time to cook it and eat it. All right, so we let this sit for about half an hour. Put this in the refrigerator, and now we're going to start on our stuffing. So what I have here, these are breaded shrimp that I made earlier. Some of them I went ahead and I baked them, and basically it's breadcrumbs, some pepper flakes, and the dip is the ranch dressing all mixed together with some salt, and then fry. So I'm going to actually use some of them to stuff our chicken wings. So it's something that's different. Stuffed chicken wings. These are. So the only thing I'm taking off the tail end, because it does have the tail still on it. Just make sure those are the ones that are out of the way. You can still eat the wings, portion of it. Just you can put it in a Fry Daddy and fry it, or you can bake it. Or if you have a Ninja, put it in your Ninja. Tastes great. Yeah, so simple ranch dressing, the powdered is mixed with, and then put the breadcrumbs over it. You see, simple old shrimps. All right, so what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna cut these up dices as very small. Now you can either feed them in with a spoon, or you can go ahead and use a piping bag and put it in. But I'm gonna go ahead and use a spoon. So this is as small as I will do them. See, this is the tiger shrimps. So you can get it from your local store. Buy them nice and fresh. So here you get the crispiness of the breadcrumbs. You can make your own breadcrumbs, or you can go to the supermarket. There's a prefab breadcrumbs already made that you can use. That clean your shrimp, and you put your ranch dressing powder, some buttermilk, and then wait about 5 to 10 minutes, and then roll it in your breadcrumbs. And what gets mine easy to cut, I put it in the freezer to get a little hard, because when the shrimp is so soft, it's very difficult to cut it the way you want it to. So you put it in the freezer for about an hour, and then you come and cut it up. It's so easy to be very manageable at this point. Because I know some of you might be wondering, okay, if this is fresh shrimps, why is it so sung and so harsh? As I said, I put it in the freezer because it's much more easy to manage. So you can see, this is how all of them will be cut to use for stuffing. So with the last of the shrimp, now we're going to go ahead and mix this with our mashed potatoes. And then I have my Marcel mushroom sauce. I'm also going to add some to give it liquefied a little and to give it some more volume. You can use any type of meat you like or vegetables to stuff your chicken with. Any type of vegetables. All right, so let's get our potatoes. So as you can see, I have half of my Marcella mushroom sauce and my mashed potatoes. So now what I'm doing basically is mixing it together. Is going to make it a little soft. And the reason why I'm not using a piping bag is because of the size of the mushroom. It would not fit through the cymbal. All right. So now that this is all mixed in, I am going to go ahead now and add my shrimp that's all cut up. Okay, so you can see it's very soft. Because I had to make it soft because the breadcrumbs will absorb the moisture. All right. Okay. So now we're going to mix it all together now. So you can see the mashed potatoes, our Marsala mushroom sauce, and the shrimp, everything all nice to mix. So now I'm going to go ahead now and start stuffing our wings. So another new way to learn how to eat wings, stuffed wings. So we have our chicken. Like I said, so we're not using a piping bag. Remember how we just made our chicken with an open socket. So we have our spoon, and we're gonna make sure that our chicken wings are nicely stuffed. As so you can use a piping bag, and a piping bag will get it, but because of the size of my mushroom, I'm not using a piping bag. I'm just using a regular old spoon, a smaller teaspoon. So as you can see, I'm using a butter knife also to help secure it into the socket of where the bones were. So you can see how it's all filled up. We want to fill it too much because once it starts cooking, see, nice and bulgy. So go on to the next and do the same exact thing. Now, like I said, the piping bag now would be very easy. Just put in the piping bag and squeeze it in. But because the size of some of my ingredients would make it a little difficult to do so. Or if we had excluded the mushrooms, then said yes. Or I could have cut the mushrooms up a little smaller. So I'm using a spoon now so you can see. I used the butter knife on that one, and now I'm using a spoon. And this is great for, see, nice and stuffed. Nice, nicely done. If you have a dinner party and your guests like chicken wings, this is one way of impressing your guests. And with all the New Year's Eve parties or Christmas party, Valentine's Day, or so forth, and you have guests, this is a nice way you can impress your guests. Yep, I'm quite sure many people have not heard about stuffed chicken wings before and have a whole different breed of meat in it. So in this you have your shrimp, mashed potatoes, and Marsala mushroom sauce. You can use minced meat or chopped meat, whatever you want to call it, or mince the chicken itself and stuff it. Nice and stuffed. We don't want to stuff them. We don't want to make it too little either. You want to have a full body. Imagine just those 3 pieces of bones, taking it out, leaves such a big pocket, a socket, that can hold so much into it. Look at that. And then you can shake it down. See? All of that. Look at that. And this can still hold more. But before I even still put any more in, I want to make sure the remainder that I have, there's enough filling for it. It's a little tedious in doing it, but think of it, the joy of your family and friends enjoying something that's new to them, you know. But a little at a time, because you don't want to force it in. And you have to be gentle because part of the skin area is thin, so you don't want to puncture it. You want to make sure everything remains intact. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I see it coming out the side because this area was thin, but when we do ready to fry, we'll be able to secure it. So the end of it, what I will do, see how very thin it's in, so you have to be very careful when putting anything in to this one here. See, that's shaking it, guys. Once you get it in, you can shake it in because the pocket is still open up. And remember, the ingredients for this that I have right now is mashed potatoes, shrimp, and the seasoning on the shrimp consists of ranch dressing powder, buttermilk, with some salt and black pepper, there we go. And then the mushrooms marsala sauce. This consists of the mushrooms, marsala wine, dry wine, onion, garlic, and scallion, cornstarch, simmer on the stove, and the marsala mushroom sauce is mixed in with the potatoes, and then the shrimps is added to it. But if you look at any of my previous videos, I gave you the recipe and how to make the marsala wine mushroom sauce. See, nice and filled. See, nice deep pockets. This is the one that tore, so we have to be very careful with this one. This is the one that tore when the bone broke, and I had to cut it open. So this one is going to be like a little patchwork once we begin to fry it. So thin the skin is here. All right, we can work with it. We can work with it. Okay, good. We almost completed. We have one more to go. And then we're going to go ahead and stuff the remaining ones. Into the other one, so we don't have to waste any mixture. See? Nice and filled. And our last one. Just be gentle because in this area here the skin is very thin. And that's it, that's our last one. So now let's go ahead and get our flour so we can flour the outer skirt of our chicken. And it'll be nice and crispy on the outside. And you get that robust flavor on the inside. See you in the next chapter. So I just made a little flour binding, and basically in the flour is just black pepper and salt mixed together. I'm not putting any eggs to make it any crispy than it would be. Alright, so now as you can see we have our first one. So the opening, what I'm doing, I have a Q-tip, a toothpick, and I am going to close it up. The toothpick is going to be like a needle. So my oil is being heated right now as we speak. So basically I'm using our toothpick now to help close up the opening, so it can be serving like a needle and thread. So this is how it is, and it goes into the flour, and then all the entire dozen we'll do the same way. Close it up. But some of them we have to be very careful because the skin is so thin.